I used to think choosing a babysitter was simple. You check a few references, talk for a bit, and if the person seems sweet, you trust them with the most precious thing in your life. That's what I thought until the day I met Harper. She looked harmless, quiet, maybe a little shy. She was 19, a college freshman in our small town in Oregon, and she said she loved kids. She even had a soft smile that made her seem gentle. I hired her because she felt safe. My biggest mistake was assuming that looking safe meant she actually was. My daughter, Lily, is 6. She's bright, talkative, and loves telling me every tiny detail about her day. When Harper came for the first time, Lily didn't seem scared or hesitant. She actually hugged Harper right away, which surprised me but also made me think I made the right choice. For the first week, everything felt normal. When I came home, Lily was fed, the house was clean, and Harper always left quietly with a polite "Good night, Mrs. Turner," but then small things started feeling off. The first time it happened, I brushed it off as nothing. I came home one evening, and the living room lights were all off. I thought maybe Harper was saving electricity. But then I noticed Lily sitting on the couch frozen, holding her stuffed rabbit by its ear. She didn't even blink when I walked in. Harper came out of Lily's room a moment later, breathing a little too hard, like she had been running or maybe panicking. When she saw me, she quickly smoothed her shirt and said everything was perfect. I didn't say anything that night, but something inside me felt unsettled. Harper left without meeting my eyes, and when I tucked Lily into bed, my daughter clung to my arm tighter than usual. I asked her how her day went, but she only whispered, "I'm tired, Mommy," and turned away. That wasn't like her at all. A few days later, I noticed Harper locking the hallway door that leads to Lily's room. She said Lily kept wandering around and she wanted to keep her safe. That didn't make sense because Lily never leaves her room after bedtime. She's the kind of child who listens to rules. Still, I didn't argue. Harper seemed calm when she explained it, but something in her tone made my stomach twist, like she was telling me half of the truth. Another night, I arrived home 10 minutes earlier than usual. When I stepped inside, I found Harper standing completely still in the dark kitchen. She wasn't doing anything, not cleaning, not checking her phone, not even moving, just standing. Her back was to me, and the only light came from the street lamp outside the window. She didn't react when I called her name the first time. The second time, she turned around slowly, like she had been pulled out of a trance. She forced a smile and said she was just thinking. I still don't know what she meant by that. Lily's behavior kept changing too. My cheerful, chatty girl had become quiet. She started waking up at night, crying in her sleep. She didn't want to play with her dolls anymore, and she stopped drawing, which scared me because drawing was her favorite thing in the world. When I asked her what was wrong, she would shrug and say she forgot. Kids forget things, but mothers know when a child is hiding something, especially something that feels heavy. One night, after Harper left, Lily refused to brush her teeth. She clung to my shirt and said she wanted to sleep in my room. I carried her and asked why. She hesitated, then whispered, "Because she listens at the door." Those words made my chest tighten. I asked her who. She said, "Harper." She didn't say anything else, and she buried her face into my shoulder like she regretted telling me. I promised her she was safe, but inside, I felt a cold wave of fear I couldn't explain. Still, I told myself maybe Harper was just checking on her. Maybe it wasn't as scary as it sounded. But a mother's instincts don't stay quiet. They scream, they grow, they push you until you can't ignore them. Things escalated a week later. I came home early again, and as I walked in, I heard whispering coming from Lily's room. Low whispers, too low to understand. I froze at the hallway corner. For a moment, I thought maybe Harper was reading her a bedtime story. But the whispers didn't sound like a story, they sounded frantic. When I stepped into the hallway, Harper stepped back like she had been caught doing something wrong. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. She said Lily had a nightmare and she was comforting her. But Lily was sitting upright in her bed, wide awake, staring straight at Harper with an expression I had never seen on her before. Fear. Harper left in a hurry that night. No goodnight, no smile, nothing. She practically rushed out the door. I tucked Lily in and sat beside her, rubbing her back. After a few minutes, she finally spoke. "Mommy?" She whispered. "Yes, baby." Her voice trembled. "Can I tell you something?" "But you can't tell her I said it." My heart dropped. "You can tell me anything." She pulled the blanket up to her chin and whispered something so soft, I had to lean closer to hear her. She said, "Mommy, when you're not home, she tells me to play a scary game. And if I don't, she gets mad." My fingers went numb. I asked her, as gently as I could, "What kind of game?" Lily shook her head quickly. "I'm not allowed to say." That moment, that tiny moment, felt like my world stopped spinning. My daughter was keeping secrets out of fear. That's when I knew something was really, deeply wrong. Not paranoia, not imagination wrong. I sat there for a long time after she fell asleep, staring at the shadows on the wall, trying to understand how a girl who looked so normal, so harmless, could bring this kind of fear into my home. The next morning, I told Harper I needed her again that evening. I acted normal. I smiled. I told her Lily had a great time with her. She smiled back, relieved, too relieved. It told me everything. She had no idea Lily had spoken to me, and that's when the idea came to me. If she was hiding something, I needed to see it, not hear it, not guess it, see it, because whatever was happening in my house when I wasn't there, it wasn't going to stay a secret anymore. I was done being in the dark. I was done being afraid. I was ready to find the truth. And no matter how terrifying it was going to be, the next day, I woke up with one mission in my mind. I needed proof, not guesses, not feelings. Proof, the kind that couldn't be denied or explained away, the kind that showed what was really happening when I wasn't home. I dropped Lily off at school and drove straight to the store. I bought a small hidden camera, one that looked like a charger. No one could tell the difference. I felt sick doing it, like I was preparing for something I didn't want to know, but I kept thinking of Lily's trembling voice, and that was enough. I set it up in her room before Harper arrived that evening. I pushed the dresser a little to the side to plug it in, making sure it had a clear view of the room. I tested it twice. Everything was working. When Harper showed up, I greeted her like everything was normal. She didn't suspect a thing. Maybe she thought Lily would stay quiet forever. I pretended I had extra work to do and left earlier than usual, telling her I might be late. She nodded and smiled, almost too eagerly. I kissed Lily on the head before leaving. She hugged me tight, like she didn't want me to go. My heart cracked, but I whispered that I would be home soon. When I stepped outside, I didn't actually leave. I drove around the block and parked where I could still see the house. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, replaying every strange moment, every whisper, every scared look on Lily's face. I waited 40 minutes until I knew Harper would feel comfortable, until she thought I was far away. Then I opened the camera app on my phone. It took a moment to load. My hands were shaking, but when the video came up, I felt my stomach twist so hard I almost dropped my phone. The room was dim, lit only by Lily's night light. Harper sat on Lily's bed, too close, leaning in like she was trying to swallow the space between them. Lily looked tiny, frozen, her hands gripping her stuffed rabbit. Harper whispered something I couldn't hear at first. Then she reached out and touched Lily's cheek, slowly. Lily flinched, my heartbeat hammered in my ears. I turned up the volume on my phone. Harper was telling Lily to play the quiet game, a game where Lily had to sit still, in the dark, with her eyes closed, while Harper told her stories. But not normal stories. They were twisted, scary, dark. Stories about shadows in the house. Stories about doors that opened by themselves. Stories about bad people who come if children cry. She told Lily that if she didn't play, the shadows would get angry. I felt something inside me shatter. It wasn't physical harm. It wasn't touching in that way. It was psychological, emotional, fear as a weapon. And she was using it against my 6-year-old daughter. But then the video got worse. Harper got up, turned the lights off completely, and stood by the door. She whispered, "The shadows like it when you're quiet. If you move, they'll know." Lily curled into a ball, crying without sound, trying to be quiet. Harper didn't comfort her. She watched. She watched like she enjoyed it. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. I felt anger burning inside me like a fire that needed to break something. I had trusted this girl. I let her into my home, and she was terrifying my daughter for what? Some sick thrill? Power? Control? I didn't wait another second. I jumped out of the car and ran to the front door so fast I barely remember unlocking it. I pushed it open and heard Harper's voice coming from Lily's room. That low whisper, that disgusting tone she used when she thought no one was watching. I didn't try to be quiet. I stormed down the hallway and flicked the lights on as I burst into the room. Harper jumped back like she'd been electrocuted. Her face turned ghost white. "Mrs. Turner." I didn't let her finish. I stepped between her and Lily, who was shaking, tears running down her cheeks. I grabbed Lily into my arms, holding her so tight she buried her face into my neck. "What are you doing?" I said. My voice was shaking with anger I had never felt before. Harper stammered. "It's just a game, I swear, it's just a game, kids like." I pulled out my phone and showed her the live feed. Her face drained of all color. She knew exactly what she'd done. She knew it wasn't a game. "You need to leave," I said. "Now." She tried to explain herself again, but I just pointed to the door. "Leave, right now." My voice had no softness left. She grabbed her bag with trembling hands and rushed out of the house without looking back. When the door slammed shut, I sank to the floor with Lily still in my arms. She was shaking, sobbing, saying, "Mommy, I didn't want the shadows to come." I held her for a long time, whispering over and over that she was safe, that none of it was real, that she never had to see Harper again. Later that night, when Lily finally fell asleep in my bed, I sat alone in the living room staring at the dark hallway. Every part of me felt guilt, not because I did something wrong, but because I didn't see it earlier. I didn't see the fear in Lily's eyes soon enough. I let someone into our home who used fear to control a child. The next morning, I contacted the babysitting agency, the police, and even Harper's college. I sent them the video. I didn't want another child to go through what mine did. They all took it seriously. Harper was removed from the agency, put under investigation, and banned from working with children again. For days after, Lily slept with me. She had nightmares, but slowly, they faded. I spent every night reminding her she was safe, that the shadows in Harper's stories weren't real, that no one would whisper scary things to her again. One night, as I tucked her in, Lily asked me, "Mommy, why did she do that to me?" I swallowed the lump in my throat. Some people like to feel powerful by making others scared, but that doesn't make them strong. It makes them wrong. She nodded slowly, like she understood more than a 6-year-old should. I kissed her forehead, turned on her nightlight, and for the first time in a long time, she fell asleep without holding my hand. I looked at her soft breathing, her calm face, and I made myself a promise. Never again would anyone make her feel unsafe in her own home. Never again would anyone whisper fear into her ears, because fear might be quiet, but a mother's love is louder, and I was done being quiet forever.